Yo, what is up guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my iPhone 13 versus the iPhone 12 video comparison. These phones, believe it or not, are a little bit of a difficult choice for some people, considering that they could get one or the other for a cheaper price point, with the iPhone 13 coming in at $799. That is quite a steep price for some people. You can get the iPhone 12 now at a discounted $699, which is not much less if we're being really honest here. And you can get a 12 mini at $599 now, or a mini version of the iPhone 13 for around $699, the same price as the 12. But let's discuss how much different are these and should you choose the iPhone 13. All right guys, so let's talk about the body, the design, the build of these two and how they differ. So you can see, first of all, we are talking about the continued squared body here. Glass on the rear, you can see they did take these vertical cameras and turn them sideways. Now, those cameras are also larger, so that's a little bit of a change, but overall, it feels somewhat like a recycled design here, like it's the same design. Honestly, they could have called this the 12S. No problem. I don't think it would have confused anybody. But you could see here on the right side, you do have a power button. Same here for the iPhone 13. You do have the same exact overall, holes on the bottom here for microphone. And if you are looking at the actual lightning port and the screws alongside, they're also in the same location. And then you can see volume rocker. Looks like it's slightly, ever so slightly higher on the iPhone 12, with the silent switch also ever so slightly higher up. But overall, they are quite similar phones, and honestly, I don't think most people would be able to see much of a difference. But where does the real difference lie is that the iPhone 12 is a lighter phone, and it's also a thinner phone along the edges, which is quite nice. I think some people would prefer that lighter design. However, some people would prefer the fact that the iPhone 13 has a little more heft to it, and it feels a little more premium because of that. In addition to that, you do have the reduced notch, which is invisible here in dark mode, but you can see it right there. That's about 20-30% reduced. Not a big deal, but overall definitely sets it apart. You have the 13 if you have that notch there, and you have the 12 if you have this notch over here. Now, when it comes to displays, did I notice anything different here over the past couple of months? And I gotta say, no, not really. I think my iPhone 12's display is a little more yellow looking than my iPhone 13's. However, that's kind of down to how it was calibrated out of the factory. Your display might not look yellow, but the iPhone 13 does have the same 60 Hertz refresh, so it feels pretty much identical, but it does add one very important factor, and that's more brightness. In a world where some phones do just not give you enough brightness, even the 625 nits is strong on the 12. Apple just throwing in 800 nits is just like an added benefit. They didn't even have to do this because they usually reserve that brighter display for the Pro models. But other than that, they have the same aspect ratio. They scroll at about the same rate. They're the same exact size. And they're pretty much the same in every other respect. They just feel like the same device when it comes to display. So this is one of the key reasons. If you're a display snob and you want to save some money, the 12 is a strong option. But if you want, a little bit more brightness and you're willing to go that extra $100 for that iPhone 11 Pro like brightness, you'll want the iPhone 13. Now again, when it comes to the software, you have the ability to place widgets, as you can see right here on your screen, and then you have the app library on both, which is quite honestly the same experience. And then you do have, the same focus modes. You have share play on both. They do have the same software support. However, when it comes to software, if you're looking for a longer term investment, the iPhone 13 will be better because it will get more support. But when it comes to the actual feature and usability, there's only really one area where you'll notice a difference, and that's in the camera. In the camera, you don't have the cinematic mode. So that's essentially one of the main differences. Other than that, the overall experience in software is exactly the same. And because these phones are both for sale and Apple keeps things consistent, that's a really good thing, because it means either one you go with, the software experience is the same. You know what you're getting here, iOS. And I would say I wouldn't choose it based on software. Just choose it based on other hardware elements between these two. Okay, and then when it comes to performance, we have an A15 Bionic on the left, A14 on the right. And if I open up a few applications, you'll see that, they pop them open around the same time. So in the real world, you will see not much of a difference. As a matter of fact, some applications still don't open faster on the iPhone 13 because they haven't been properly optimized just yet by every developer on the market. But at the same time, if you do get the iPhone 12, you won't have the ability to say my benchmark's higher. But does that really matter to you? Honestly, I don't even feel like I was able to ever push the iPhone 12 series to their max potential just because they were so powerful. And then Apple throws in even more power. So I think this is just stuff that will pay off in the long term, just like with the software. If you want to have performance, a little bit past, 5 years, you'll probably want to go with the 13, but it's going to be the same story next year. When the next CPU for iPhone comes out, it's going to be, that one's going to go a little bit further. So really, it's not like before when the chips were really making major gains. These days it's so mature and the chips have been fast for a while that, again, this just doesn't feel like a huge change. The ProMotion display really did feel like a huge change for the pros. And that was more felt than even the CPUs that you don't really see that are housed underneath. But that CPU does make it a more efficient battery experience. We'll talk about that later in the battery section. You know what? Let's just cover it now. The battery life for the iPhone 12 for me never really impressed me. It was never really something that I was like, wow, I'm getting amazing battery life. Most users will say it was fine. I got through the day. If you're an average user, you're not using camera too much. You're not really pushing this phone to the limit, meaning you're not running it all day long, heavy use. You're definitely going to have no issues getting through the day with the iPhone 12. As a matter of fact, I know some 10R users who have actually upgraded to the iPhone 12 and said they enjoy the phone. It's fine. But the iPhone 13 is more impressive. I had this thing on full blast brightness. I was running 4K 60 video, and this thing was sipping battery life. They really did improve this by a good hour or two, and if that really means a lot to you, I think it's definitely justified in paying that extra $100 to get this better battery life. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours better for my experience on the iPhone 13. Now, there's a big difference here when it comes to storage. The iPhone 12 starts at 64 gigabyte model. That's pretty low here by 2021 standards, unless you're just doing basic smartphone tasks. If you are taking advantage of the beautiful cameras though, Apple has included a 128 gig standard model for the iPhone 13. So double the storage also adds to the value proposition of paying $100 more than an iPhone 12 and getting twice the storage. That alone to me could make up for the difference. Also, this max is out at 512 gig now. Now that 512 gig model doesn't come cheap. It comes around $1,000. But this phone right here maxed out at 256 gig. So yeah, storage is a major reason I would say to go with the iPhone 13. If it's something you're planning on keeping a long time and you store a bunch of your stuff on your phone, this could be a very big deal for you. Let me know your thoughts down below. Okay, so let's talk about one of the most important factors of these phones these days, and that is the camera. Pretty much a big deal for a lot of people. However, you look on the back and you think, those cameras look bigger on the 13. They must be so much better. And the fact of the matter is they are in a couple areas, but they're not that much better unless you're doing a lot of video. Like you have cinematic video, which is not even available on the iPhone 12, which means that you can blur that background for the iPhone 13, and that's an incredible upgrade. Also, you can do 4K HDR 60 on this phone. So this is more of a pro video phone here, but if you're not going to really use that, I think you're going to be pretty happy with either. Now, I did find the photos to be slightly better for the iPhone 13, but you really have to pixel peep. You really have to look closely, and you really got to know what you're looking at to even see that difference. Both of these phones will provide you excellent camera and photography, and only that, they do feature the same front-facing camera. So if you are looking through the front lens, you're going to get that same 12 megapixel 4K 60 appearance here. Let me go to 4K 60 here, which means that the iPhone 12 is a great value, being at a reduced price, giving you an amazing camera still if you want to save some money. So overall, I'm going to say if you're not going to take advantage of the features, don't even think about it. It's not really worth it. But if you like all the other things that were value add-ons like the battery and other stuff I talked about, then you'll definitely enjoy the fact that you still have a little bit better cameras in the 12. Now, I'm not going to play no audio, but I will tell you that I have experienced a little bit louder audio for the iPhone 13, and that's mostly at the highs. When it's on the lower end, that you don't really notice much of anything. Also, these do have Bluetooth connections to 5.0, so if you have AirPods, Beats, anything like that, it'll be very quick to connect Also, you can use a lightning port with some lightning headphones if you want to do that. The overall experience on audio is quite similar, and it's not nothing I would pick either one of these phones over the other. It wouldn't be a deciding factor for me if I was choosing between these two. Now, when it comes to their phone calls, because the iPhone 12 brought back Qualcomm and it had 5G, this is one of the biggest selling iPhones ever. We do have the iPhone 13 bringing essentially the same internals here. So what you're going to experience is essentially the same overall reception, the same overall mobile performance, depending on the market you're in and, you know, which carrier you have, stuff like that. But I gotta say, both of them have been great in this respect. Phone call quality has been strong on the 12, and it's been strong here. This is an area where prior iPhones really annoyed me, but the 13 is good here, as is the 12. So very good on both of these here. Again, not a deciding factor. So in conclusion, should you buy the iPhone 13 or should you buy this iPhone 12? Well, it's not just down to just buy the 13. It's the latest phone. It has better battery life. It looks better. Most people just go for what's new. But you got to understand something. You know, there are some cases where people are just going to be getting rid of these and they want the 13 Pro or something, and they're going to get rid of these for cheaper. So do your research, look around. You might be able to snag one of these on a ridiculous deal. And then in that case, you're getting an iPhone 12, which is 90% of what this iPhone 13 is. Also, if you do a trade-in value, you can change the price from like $700 on here all the way down to like $300 depending on what you're trading in. Now this one is going to run you $800. It's getting closer to that $1,000 price range if you want more storage. So you're paying a bit more for the iPhone 13, but if you want the better phone, you want the longer lasting phone with software support performance, you'll want the 13. But it's kind of disappointing that the 13 didn't give us the ProMotion display. It really makes the iPhone Pro series stand out quite a bit, but I would pick the 13 in that case. Other than that, that's going to wrap it up here for me in this video. If you guys have the iPhone 12, you jump to the 13, share your experience with the community down below. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, click the like button for me and be sure to subscribe. It really helps out and I really appreciate it. I will catch you all in the next episode, and peace.